You may not know it, but the Auto Club of Southern California has been giving travelers reliable, trustworthy service for over 100 years. As we've grown, so have the benefits we offer our members. Now we can help you plan trips and save time, whether you're traveling around California, the U.S., or the world.
Road Trip with Hugh Hauser is made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Hello everybody, I'm Hugh Hauser, and here we are on this beautiful morning in Mariposa County, which sits just about right in the center of California. Now right now we've pulled over to the side of Highway 140. This is the highway we're traveling. We're coming east from Merced, and this highway is a very historic highway. Opened back in 1927, it was known as the All-Year Highway, because it was this highway that basically opened up Yosemite National Park to year-round traffic. Good old Highway 140 is the highway that opened up the park to big-time automobile traffic. Well, it looks like it's still open and doing just fine, and that's a good thing, because this is the highway we're going to be traveling on our road trip. Well, here we are. We have just pulled into town. We're here in downtown Mariposa, and you know, when you pull into a town, the best way to find out about it is to visit the local museum. So here we are at the Mariposa Museum and History Center. We've hooked up with the president, with the head guy here who's going to show us around. They've got all kind of neat things to show us, but you know, as we pulled into town, I need to kind of get into the spirit of this place, kind of go back in time and get excited about where we are today. Can you do that for us?
I've got a great song for you. It's a traditional American song. I wrote our own words for Mariposa. We'll be coming on around the mountain when we come. Where's the gold? Riding on the Mariposa when we come. Where's the gold? I'll bring my picks and gold pans. We'll bring our picks and gold pans. There's gold in all those wet bricks when we come. Hey, where's the gold?
Now that got me in the spirit. Your name is?
Cousin Jack.
Now, do you perform around town?
I perform around town. I'm a volunteer at the History Center here, and I have the music store here in town too.
And when city folks come in, I bet they love hearing that kind of music.
Oh, they do. I give the same show to everybody that comes to town.
Now, would the Miners have performed something like that, or would this?
Oh, sure.
This is vintage music.
There was a lot of banjos in those days. They had banjos and fiddles, and a few harmonicas crept in later, but mostly banjos and fiddles were very popular.
Well, thank you. That got us in the spirit right there. We'll be hearing, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing from you some more before this day is over, don't you think?
I'll be here.
I had a
Thank you.
Yeah. Come on, let's go over here. Howdy, ladies. How you all doing? We're going to walk over here to meet this guy because now this looks authentic over here. What have we got going over here?
Well, we got a little bit of everything here. We got, of course, we got the ass here. He's packs the material in and out. And Mike's going to show you a little bit about what his camp looks like here.
Okay, howdy. I'm Hugh Hauser.
How you doing? How you doing?
Nice to meet you. Now, what do you represent? What are you here to show people when they come to the museum?
Well, what it does is so these Castilian-type donkeys was used for packing. And they would actually go out and get them as babies because of the fact that they were easier to catch.
The miners would get them?
Yes.
They would catch them wild?
No, as babies, yes, wild babies. And then what they would do is they would train them to be their buddies. And they would pack up there in the hills, and they'd go up there in the mountains. They would go where horses couldn't go. And sure-footednness, they could use them across creeks. And
now, would they name them?
Yes, her name is Ruby Lee.
Let's take a good look at her face, because she wants to eat these carrots.
Yeah.
Would the miners have fed them carrots?
Oh yes. They would have. What they would have done is went down to the township, to the mercantile, and they had carrots available. And that was like a little treat for them.
Now they had to do a lot of packing, though. They were beasts of burden.
Yes, they were definitely beasts of burden.
But they were also your friends.
Yes, and they would sing to you when you're gone. They would bray.
Really?
Yes.
That's another whole story there.
That's another whole story.
Now let's take a look at what you've got over here, because you've got a whole setup here that kind of demonstrates what a miner's camp would have looked like right here in Mariposa County.
Yes.
Explain to us kind of what the whole setup is here without going through every single piece.
Right. What it would do is they wanted to be comfortable, and they didn't have any feather beds. So they would go out and get some pine needles and make a bed with pine needles. And they would take a piece of rawhide, deer skin.
Look at that. That's your mattress there.
Yes, that's my mattress. And then they put the deer skin on top of the pine needles. And then they take a blanket, a wool blanket, and that keep them warm.
Now this is just a lean-to. This isn't really a tent, like a formal tent.
Right.
These were hides that they would have gotten themselves.
Right. That would have been hides that they got for themselves, and then also the canvas that you could get from the shipyards in the 1849s, and they would use them to cover up their goods.
And you have your little fire going here. You have your musket over here, and of course you've got your gold pan over here.
Yes.
So you had everything you needed right here under this one little lean-to.
This was my my homestead that I had, and I would go to town and get my goodies and come back, and I would be just as happy as a pig in a poke.
Now, did you ever have to worry about somebody coming in and stealing your stuff, or did miners pretty well respect each other's possessions?
They would respect each other's stuff, their privacy and everything, and if they didn't respect them, that's why they had this 44 on the side. That was a little bit of
frontier justice.
Frontier justice.
And an alarm system all rolled into one.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed meeting you. The name of your burro again is
Ruby Lee.
Let's get a shot of this, Cameron. We've got the miner and his burro right here. And boy, that is about as authentic as it looks. If the cars weren't parked right there behind you, we could be back 150 years ago.
Yes, you sure can, because I lived the part, yes. I enjoy it. In fact, if I had my choice, they said it was the good old days, but they weren't no good old days, but it was wonderful. I mean, it was a peace of mind that you get away from the valley and the city life and kind of enjoy the peace and quiet of the mountains.
All right, let's get this shot of the two of you together, because there's a shot worth remembering right there. Ruby Lee and Miner. Okay, we've come back around to the back part of the History Center, and Don, you've got this is a nice old house over here. You've moved some buildings here from other places around town.
That's correct. The one on the left is the George Count's house, and it was built in 1862 during the Civil War, and it was considered one of the finer buildings in Mariposa at its time.
This house right here?
The white on the left here.
Boy, that's a beautiful little house.
And we completely restored it, and George Counts, we call it the Counts house, C-O-U-N-T-S, and he was one of our first treasurers in Mariposa. He ran the treasury from there and raised about 8 or 10 children in there.
Wow, in that one little house.
In that one little house.
Now, this is a very historic little building, too.
Yep.
That is one of the original buildings in town.
That's correct. That's, at one time, it was a temperance hall, Knights of the Temperance, and then the Dexter family ended up with it many years ago, and what it represents is the oldest active weekly newspaper in the state, 1854.
Wait a minute, the oldest active weekly newspaper. It's still being published here.
That's correct. Of course, not in the antiquity here, but over on Jones Street.
But it was called the Mariposa
Gazette.
Gazette.
That's correct.
Now, what happens if we go inside there?
Well, you might see some people in there.
Oh. We're inside the old Temperance Hall. Howdy, I'm Huell Hauser.
Howdy, I'm Marguerite Campbell. Marguerite Dexter I was.
Nice to meet you.
Dick Hutchinson.
one of the board members there.
Well, tell us what's going on inside. Is this the way the old newspaper office would have looked?
Well, as close as we could find it, there's a lot of things that are missing right now, but Marguerite can really give you a clue as to what the things that we had in here.
You would have known because you worked here as a girl, didn't you?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Tell us what it was like.
Well, this was a front office, and there was a door through. There was a wood stove in there and a wood stove in here, and all the type cases were around, and in the center were the stones. And
were the what?
Stones that you used to, the frames, the stones.
The stones.
Yeah, like
let's see what we're talking about.
Yeah, they were big things like this, and you'd do the frames and put all the hand type in, tighten it up, and then put it over onto the press.
Oh.
This is a big piece of marble. It's called a stone, and they would set the type up on it in the frames. And what I do right now, instead of using this, I'm using the old Washington press because it's closer to the Chandler and Price press that I'm using.
Look at all of these.
3 of these, and the type cases were all around. And then these were these big stones that you worked and you made them solid. Then you clamped them in, and then you could carry them and put them on the press.
So you had to make all your words out of these pieces of type.
Oh, yeah. Where's a little...
Here's a composing stick right here.
Oh, boy, she remembers every bit of this.
Right. And then you'd put a space, and you'd fill this, and then you'd put over, and then you'd eventually fill your galley up.
Can we take a look? Because I know you've got a machine that still operates over here. Let's walk on over here and take a look at what's going on over here.
Let me show you this is the chase he was talking about. And we set up the lines of type in here and form it, and then lock it with these the coin keys.
So this is what you're printing right here?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then let's put it on the machine.
Okay. Like that, and then in the olden days, Marguerite, when she ran this, there was a treadle here.
Yeah, you treadled it. You had your little frame up here. You put your piece in, and you did it and printed it and brought it back, and then you took it out, and then you put another one in.
So this was done by hand.
Oh, yes.
Can we start it up? Because you're cheating today. You've got a motor over here.
That's right.
Let's turn this thing on.
Let me move over here and give it a spin so I can take the load off the motor.
Look at this. Look how this operates.
Your hand did.
So what we would do is we take this, stick it in there like that, pull the handle back.
Look how this operates over here, Cameron. This is amazing. So this just goes right up here.
It's in the disengaged position right now. And what you do is just, normally there's a cable over here, but I don't have it. But anyway, you bring it up, set this in here like that, pull this back like that. Oops! See, that's what happens when you get it too fast, so we can control the speed of it now. But anyways, that's what we print.
Now, obviously, this was the only newspaper in town.
Yes, at that time.
Only newspaper anywhere around here.
Oh, yeah.
So there was probably a lot of excitement every week when the newspaper came out.
Oh, yeah. Big deal.
And you knew everything that was happening in town.
Yeah. I was about 7 when my folks...
Well, that's when you started. But weren't you the editor of this paper for a long time?
40 years or so.
That's what I thought. When people come in here, do you put on this kind of a demonstration?
I sure do. I love it.
And I would imagine most people have never even seen anything like this in today's world.
They haven't. They wonder, says, well, how did you print the paper in here? How did they? And I says, that's why it's a weekly, because it takes time. And then I would go through the demonstration with the type, and I would set up their name or whatever in the composing stick, and they say, boy, that takes a long time. I said, that's why it was a weekly paper.
Now, we're standing here looking at the Mariposa Gazette from June the 22nd, 1912. And why are we looking at this particular edition of the paper, Dick?
Well, what we did yesterday, we were looking around here and we saw this paper, and I remembered that Marguerite's birthday was in June. So I pulled this out, and here it says under one of the columns, born, and it says Dexter. It says the wife of John L. Dexter, they had a daughter. And that was Marguerite. And there's the paper.
So there you are in the paper the first day you were born.
Oh, boy.
Well, we have left the old Gazette building, and as our tour continues, we got another tour going on over here.
The ore crusher out there, and it's broken down into pieces about this size. Now, this is called Hungary quartz. It doesn't have any gold in it, but we have a piece over here that has some. The stamp here is lifted up about a foot.
Oh, my gosh.
Onto the ore, over and over again, until it's broken down into this very fine powder.
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Oh,
Your
sure.
name is?
Ernie Laszlo.
I'm Huell Hauser.
Hi.
You're
Huell.
giving tours to these ladies. Where are you all from? From Japan. And you're visiting Mariposa to see Yosemite and.
Yes, Yosemite.
Ah, great. Now, so you have people coming here from all over the world.
All over the world, yes. They come in every day, every week, and come and visit Mariposa Historical Center here.
All right, well, tell us what we got going here, because we've got a whole setup here.
Okay, what we have here is a stamp mill. It was built in San Francisco by the Joshua Henry Machine Works. And we know that this machine is over 100 years old because Joshua Henry Machine Works was destroyed in the earthquake.
Now, can we get it going? Does it
sure
actually...
can. What we're going to do is we're going to lift these stamps right here. Each stamp weighs 1,000 pounds. It's going to be lifted up by this cam here and dropped onto the ore, just like I showed you on this thing here. Wow. Are we ready, Ted?
Oh, boy, you got a whole gang going here.
We got a whole gang of men working here. It takes a lot of, this is the only operating stamp mill in the state of California at any history center, wherever.
Now, would these have been located all over California, these big things? Because
Yes.
this is a big deal to get one of these things set up.
Oh, it sure is. You could literally go from one gold mining camp to another gold mining camp just by listening to the sound of the stamps falling from one place to another. This is a battery of one. A battery consists of 5 stamps. And there were as many as 40 batteries
Now,
in
I'm
an
ready
area.
to hear this thing. Are we ready?
All right. Ready, Ted? I've got to go up and drop the stamp.
He's going to drop the stamps. Ladies, have you ever seen anything like this before? No, they've never seen anything like this before. We hadn't either. Now this is amazing. What is it that's happening here?
The stamps are being lifted. Each 1,000-pound stamp is being lifted by the stamps, falling down onto the
Where
quartz,
would the ore have been? In here?
coming in from the back side.
But it would have been down here, and that's where it was crushed.
Yes, this is where it's all the crushing is being done. It's taking those big pieces of quartz and crushing it into this very fine powder.
Where would the gold end up?
The gold would wind up on these copper plates right here that were coated with mercury. The mercury would amalgam to the copper plates, and the mercury also amalgams to gold and silver.
Boy, I'll tell you what. You were right about being able to hear this from one camp to another. These things were loud.
Very loud.
What signal did you get?
We're going to shut it down.
Because back then they didn't have earplugs.
No, you had to do everything by signals, or as you heard by the bell. The bell start it, stop it, and let one operator know what's happening from another operator.
Now, would these have been going day in and day out?
24 hours a day, about 8 days until the plates wore out. And these plates here were all covered with gold. And they'd have to take the gold off the copper plates. They'd squeegee all the gold into an amalgam. And then they'd have to take that amalgam and put it through a chamois, squeeze it very thoroughly, and then they'd have what's called an amalgam ball. That amalgam ball would then be put into a retort. Right here. Now we know that mercury is dangerous, and if we heat it, it gets into your lungs and kills you. So you put it in this retort, you clamp this up, you heat it up, the mercury then turns into a gas, comes up the pipe, gets cooled back down, they recovered the mercury at that end, and then you have a gold button in here when you're all done.
Wow, that's what it was all about.
That's what it was all about.
And boy, it is quiet when you cut that thing off.
Yeah, you can almost hear yourself.
Now, Don, this is very interesting what you've got going on here.
Well, what we have here is the ladies are behind us, and I'd like to introduce you to Della Hearn. She's from the Paiute tribe, and she's an elder coming out of Yosemite. And she's going to share with you about grinding acorns and some beadwork.
Ah, good. Hi, how you doing? I have a feeling you're the lady I want to meet right here. Your name is?
Della Hearn.
And tell us what exactly it is you're doing right here.
I am peeling acorn.
Peeling acorn?
Yeah, the red skin off from the acorn so that my girls can pound the acorn. And it has to be pounded so that it's the same texture as all-purpose flour. Then after that, we take it and we leach it. If we have a little reservoir or a basin with a cloth on it. And then we get some cedar boughs and we put them together, and then we pour the water over that to take the tannic acid out.
Now, is this basically the same way it's been done for generations?
Why, yes.
Nothing's changed at all?
Well, not in my family. I learned how to do this when I was 7 years old.
Really? So you start young doing that?
Oh, yeah.
And have you had to teach all of them the right way to do it?
You bet. These girls are my craft girls. We do beadwork, and I can always depend on them. Where my people, they have other things to do. So, but my girls here, we're all mixed, but they're the real things for me to always give me a helping hand.
Now you're doing yours in a big rock. You're doing yours. These things are called
portable rock. It's just a rock, grinding rock.
And it's just as simple as hitting it.
With the other rock?
Turning it, or?
No, just up and down. And then it'll look like this.
Oh, look. Now, how many hours did it take you to get this done?
Well, between all of us, we've gotten that much in probably an hour.
Now, I've heard stories that in the old days, the Indian ladies used to sit around and talk, and this would be their way of their time to visit while they were doing something like this.
Well, that's what I think it is, a time to share with one another and learn from the elders.
Okay, we have come inside the museum. I've hooked up with a couple of local historians here. Gentlemen, tell us what it is that's so special about where we're standing right now.
Well, the entrance to the museum is the location of the artifacts that came from a historic store in Hornitas, California, which was a Mexican mining town here in Mariposa County. The store is called the Gallardo store, and the people that had the store, believe it or not, maintained the original inventory, or a lot of the original inventory fixtures, up until the owner's death. At that time, that contents of that store were donated to the Art Historical Society and brought here to Mariposa to become the focal point of this new museum that was being built here.
All right, now this is just one, though, of many exhibits here. Can we walk back here and see what you've got? Because this is what's so interesting about this museum.
Well, the concept of this museum was developed by an artist by the name of Muriel Nevin. And what she did is she put this museum together with the artifacts that came out of Mariposa County residents' own home, historic things. And the town was rebuilt in miniature inside to house these artifacts. So everything that you see in here, for the most part, came out of the old family homes, the old family stores, the drugstore, the courthouses, the ranches, and on and on and on. So what you're seeing here, while they may be items of everyday use, they were still very important to the survival of the pioneers in Mariposa.
This was a kind of a new concept for museum. Prior to that, why you go into a museum, it'd be a table with a glass top and maybe some pictures in there and other things, and all disassociated. But what Muriel tried to do is, like, you're coming into a town and you'd have all these shops and so forth, and the materials in there, and then along with the Chinese exhibit and the Native American exhibit.
Let's take a look at what you're talking about here. Give us an example.
Well, for example, here is Leroy. You can tell them about the drugstore.
Well, this is a early day drugstore, and you'll see in here a machine to make suppositories. You'll see glass stoppered ground glass bottles and some of the old books, mortars and pestles, and the scales that were used in the early day.
Now,
drugstore.
was this actually a drugstore named Mariposa Drugstore?
Yes, sir, sure was.
A very interesting room in here. What's going on in here, Don?
Well, basically what we got is the spinners and the weavers and an antique piano we haven't played. And the ladies and gentlemen come here about once every other week and demonstrate to the tourists that come through how spinning and weaving took place.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this. Is this historic to Mariposa County?
It's historic to the whole nation. It came over very early, and they go back, this type of loom, it's an inkle loom, and they go back thousands of years.
Show us how you're working there. What would they have made with this kind of a loom?
Straps, all kinds of straps. Decorative
Suspenders?
Suspenders, I made these. They made pull straps for the bells in the old houses. Decorative sashes and leg ties the mountain men wore.
Now, would the men have done this, or would it have just been the women who would have done it back then?
Both.
Really?
Both.
So the men knew how to use these looms as well?
Yes. It was traditional back many years ago that the women did the spinning and the men did the weaving.
All right, now she's doing the spinning over here, right?
Hi.
And you're doing the weaving.
I'm spinning alpaca.
Now, alpaca is new to Mariposa County.
Yes, it is.
So
yes, it is. It's only been here for a couple of years.
But you're doing it the old-fashioned way.
Doing the old-fashioned way.
And over here, look at this. We got a rabbit. What's the story on this?
This is Angora bunny, and I plucked from her fiber, the one she sheds
Wait a
off.
minute, you're taking the hair right off of her.
Yes. Yes.
Is this the way they would have done it years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, it hadn't changed a bit.
No, because then you don't have to cut it. And bunnies are so clean, you don't have to wash the fiber before you spin it.
So you just wait until it's time for them to shed, and then you go to work spinning.
Yes.
Watch it. Watch that burro. He's out of control. Well, we've had a great day here at the museum. Thank you so much, and thank all of you. You have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful place here. This is a must stop when you come to Mariposa.
Oh, God bless, and thanks for coming, and we invite all of them in California to come visit us again.
Boy, that's a feisty burro you got there, Miner.
Yes, yes. Yeah, she wants her carrots.
She wants her carrots. They gave me some gold here. There's enough gold here to buy a cup of coffee at some restaurants here in town. And we started off with some music here, and we're going to end up with some music that has kind of a message to it.
Well, you know, when you walk up to a gold miner, first thing you ask him, you say, hey, where's the gold? He'll always tell you, hey, the gold is where you find it here and there. But where's the gold? The gold is where you find it everywhere. But where's the gold? Oh, you pick and pan and dig around till all those chunks of gold you found. Gold is where you find it from the ground. But where's the gold?
We've had a wonderful first stop here in Mariposa. Now, when you come to Mariposa County, you gotta visit the courthouse. California's oldest seat of justice still in use. The front half, the original building, completed in 1854. And here to tell us about this wonderful old courthouse, and there it is, Leroy, right on the front, erected 1854. Is this literally still the oldest courthouse still in use in California?
Yeah, in fact, it's the oldest courthouse still in use west of the Rocky Mountains. But this courthouse was built out of timbers in a design called the balloon design. It was put together with mortise and tenon. There's not a nail in the substructure of this building at all. And then the siding was put on with square nails.
This would have been, I mean, there would have been, what, horses all out in front. People would have been milling around out in front. Miners would have been coming in and out of here.
Oh, yeah. There were hogs all over the place. In 1863, when they put the clock tower on the building, The editor of the Mariposa Gazette objected strenuously because he said they should have spent the money on a fence to keep the hogs out of the building.
Now, where did they get this clock? Is that the original clock?
That's the original clock. It's a Seth Thomas clock that was manufactured in England and shipped around the Horn, and it was placed on this in 1863 on this top. You know, there's another great story. The Gazette reported that the first time they started the clock up, it just continued to ring time after time after time, and they said that the clock had a case of diarrhea. So anyway, and that clock has kept time ever since.
Okay, now we have come inside the courtroom, and our tour guide in here is Judge McMacken, who presided here for a number of years. And Judge, this is an amazing place. I mean, did you heat up the stove to keep the courtroom warm, or is that just here for show?
Well, presently it's for show, but at one time it was the heating system for the courtroom.
And basically, this is exactly the way it would have looked in 1854.
Basically, this is the way it was.
Now, explain to us a little bit the history of what you know in this room.
Well, all of the walls are planking made of sugar pine that was milled here locally and done by hand. There were no power saws in the day. All of the benches are made of pine, to my knowledge, and have been hand-painted oak, meaning artisans painted the grain on the benches, which is quite a task. We found that out when we went to build the vanity here for the witness, that to match the artwork that exists required finding someone who had that talent. The bench was designed to seat 3 judges at a time, because prior to the appointment of a judge in Mariposa County, they had 3 judges sitting in what they called a court of sessions from 1854 to about 1880.
So there would have been 3 judges.
That's correct.
And you told me that the bench used to be a little closer to the wall.
That's correct. That's because the judges were shorter at the time.
And they would have had the old, that would have been kerosene lit up there.
That's correct.
And basically, this is it, just like it was. When you were sitting here presiding as the judge, do you ever find yourself flashing back in time and wondering about those early frontier justice days when they would have been sitting right here at the
Well, as a judge, you try not to flash back too much because you're supposed to be paying attention to what's going on in your courtroom. And at the same time, there are certainly times when in the heat of summer, you would sit here, and even though our air conditioning system is somewhat adequate, we recognize that it wasn't that long ago that this building was not air conditioned, and I visualized throwing the windows open and trying to keep people as cool as possible. The jury who regularly sat in our chairs, and these are original chairs, were provided with cushions, and during the course of a lengthy trial, even those cushions are inadequate, and we'd have to have people stand up and take frequent recesses.
Now, does the jury still sit here?
Absolutely.
In these original chairs?
Absolutely.
How has this escaped being modernized over the years?
Well, I think we have the watchful eye of the Historical Society and other folks who are very concerned about maintaining the integrity and authenticity of the courtroom. As a matter of fact, a little story about that is when I came here, on the floor was battleship linoleum, which you can see still exists in some parts of the courtroom, and it was laid in 1929. And when I came here, because the wooden walls, lack of microphones, and the battleship linoleum floors, the acoustics were absolutely pathetic. I asked if we could put carpet on the floor, and was told absolutely not, because the battleship linoleum is the authentic floor covering. Well, my clerk at the time, Jerry McCarthy, did some research in our archives downstairs and found that, in fact, prior to 1929, there was carpet on the floor, and that still exists on that bench over there. So with that, the Historical Society consented to my carpeting the floor. That was in 1987, and it's pretty obvious that it needs to be recarpeted.
And anything that's done in here, though, has to be run by the Historical Society committee.
Generally.
Well, time has passed. We have left the Museum and History Center. The temperature has risen. I'm wearing shorts now. You've got on your jeans still. And Don, tell me a little bit about Mariposa. We're standing right in the middle of the town of Mariposa, and it looks like there's some pretty old buildings still here.
That's correct. Some of them are still in existence today, but when one goes back when all the miners came, we had several fires throughout the community many years ago. Some of the old buildings you look at, you'll see these steel doors, and that was part of the common walls and buildings to keep the fire from going into the next old structure.
Now, Mariposa, was it founded because of the gold rush? Was it one of these gold rush towns?
Absolutely.
Was this a bustling town?
Very much. Thousands of people came here, again, to find their riches. But one must remember, a lot of the miners who came from around the world, they might have had enough in their pocket when they got here to buy the pick, the shovel, and the pan. And if on a good day, they got enough in the pan to get a decent meal.
Yeah.
So we didn't all get rich here, the folks who came.
Well, this was a bustling place. It still is a nice little town.
Yes, it is. And
right here, kind of the gateway to Yosemite.
Absolutely.
A lot of people pass through here on the way to Yosemite.
Every day they come through. And I think what we see is a lot of folks will come here. We didn't know about Mariposa till they look into the history of it and travel the back streets where the Opera House might have been, where the old jail is up behind me on the hill, the famous Courthouse. So we enjoy having the people come and visit the community and learn a little bit about our California history.
Howdy. Where are you all from?
France.
From France. How did you get to Mariposa?
To visit the Yosemite.
Ah, so you're on your way to Yosemite?
Yeah.
You're going to Yosemite?
Yeah, we are going, yes. We are coming from San Francisco.
Ah, great. So what are you doing here in town? Just kind of shopping, walking around?
No, we are just going to have lunch, and then we are going to Yosemite.
Well, have a good time in Yosemite.
Thank you.
Welcome to California. Well, look who we ran into here on the sidewalk. Mariposa's newest residence.
Yes.
You moved here how long ago?
3 weeks ago.
Now, why Mariposa?
Just wanted the peace and quiet and the tranquility. You know, that's what we're looking for.
Trees.
The pine trees, yeah.
You had lived in
Anaheim.
This is a lot quieter than Anaheim, isn't it?
It's a culture shock.
Well, what do you think about the little town?
We love it. Absolutely love it.
How would you go about choosing a place? Did you drive around California looking for what you thought your ideal retirement place would be?
Actually, we looked a lot in the western United States, and we decided we wanted to stay in California. And then we wanted to be close enough to the city for medical facilities and things like that. But we really wanted to be in the country.
Yeah. And you're just down the road from Yosemite.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So you've got the whole thing right here.
Yeah.
The whole package, all set up for us. It was great.
Well, welcome to town.
Well,
I can't officially welcome you. I'm not a citizen. You all are the newest citizens. You got to meet Don because he runs the museum and the history center down here.
Okay, great.
So you got to go see that. That's a great place to visit. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
See you later.
Thank you very much.
I love these covered sidewalks here.
Oh, sure. Very nice.
Is that historic? Is this the way they used to be?
I think you need to go back to the era of the gold mining and the coaches and wooden walkways, the boardwalks.
So they used to have wooden sidewalks.
Yeah, wooden sidewalks.
All right, now the reason we're walking down here, it isn't by accident. I have been invited to go into this place by the man himself, Cousin Jack's Music. Mariposa, California, and that's where we're heading, into Cousin Jack's. Come on, let's go in.
Okay.
And here's the man himself, Cousin Jack. You'll recognize him. He's the guy who sang to us twice down at the History Center.
Where's the gold? Did you find the gold?
Where's the gold?
Gold is in Mariposa.
Now here's part of your gold. Here's one of your customers. Your name is?
Andy.
Are you a local?
I am.
So you just kind of came in to do what?
Well, purchase these guitar strings from Jack.
because my band's playing tonight at the El Portal Music Festival right up in El Portal.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that
so
great?
you've got a little bit of everything in here.
All the local folks come to my store.
Nice to meet you. You got to go practice, don't you?
I do, actually.
I thought you did.
They're good to start with. It's
now,
a good band.
This is your wife
That's
down
my
here.
wife,
Hi, Huell Hauser. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Tell us a little bit about your store here.
Well, we actually started as a doll store, and then Jack stopped being on the road as an entertainer, and a few instruments started coming in. And we filled up the place.
Well, you talk about a few instruments. You got them all down here, and look over here. We got a whole wall full of them. All kinds of instruments. Some of them look pretty exotic to me.
Well, the most exotic one now I have up there, that mandolin, we need to turn it around, has a butterfly on it.
Wait a minute, which one? Right here?
That one right in the center.
Can we turn it around?
That's from the 1800s. That's from 1896, and it has Brazilian rosewood, and it has a Mariposa butterfly.
That's beautiful. And who are your customers here? Who comes through Mariposa?
I get a lot of local folks because I have good prices, and I give everyone a good deal even when I have good prices.
Now wait a minute, this isn't a commercial, Cousin Jack. I want to know who your customers are. Or do they come from?
I get a lot of people, the tourists come through all the time.
On their way to Yosemite?
And they have cars that are rented, and so they need to buy CDs and cassettes to play music. And they don't buy many instruments because they can't carry them on the plane. But there was a fellow in here today from England. He just bought a bunch of blues CDs that he can't find there.
So really, you get a very international people that run stores up and down the main street of Mariposa. You're getting people from all over the world coming in every day.
Right. And then I get a lot of local folks too, like from Fresno and Bakersfield and Chowchilla. They come up for the day. Like folks were just in here, they came up to go to the river, and so they come in and spend a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
That's which makes it nice for me and nice for them too, because they save money.
Well, it's a pretty good place to live, isn't it? We just met a brand new couple moved into town.
It's a great place to live. I was on the road for years playing music, and I've been a lot of places, and I could live any place in the world, and I chose Mariposa because the people are all really friendly, and it's just a nice community, and the weather is good too. We have a couple of hot days, but that's okay. Yeah. Now this is the most popular bench in town. Everyone comes and gets their picture taken right here. There's a doll of Cousin Jack made about 15 years ago.
So the international tourists like to sit here.
Get their picture taken to take home.
This is kind of like old-timey California here.
That certainly
kind of takes you back in time to the gold rush days.
That's why I sing my Where's the Gold song to everybody.
Well, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Well, thank you for coming.
And we're going to end this Mariposa part of our road trip right here in front of Cousin Jack's music. We're going to hear that good old song about Where's the Gold one more time.
Around the mountain when we come, where's the gold? Riding on the Mariposa when we come, where's the gold? Hey, I'll bring my picks and gold pans. We'll bring our picks and gold pans. There's gold in all those wet bricks when we come, but where's the gold? Well, the miner will always tell you where the gold is. Hey, the gold is where you find it here and there. But where's the gold? Gold is where you find it everywhere. But where's the gold? Oh, you pick and pan and dig around till all those chunks of gold are found. Gold is where you find it from the ground. But where's the gold? Come on, tell me, where's the gold? It's right here in Mariposa. Yeah. Riding on the Mariposa when we come, where's the gold?
Well, with the echoes of Cousin Jack still in my ears, we left Mariposa and headed north on historic Highway 49. We went through some beautiful country. Our destination was the little community of Coulterville, which, believe me, ended up being a place about as authentic as you can get. Oh boy, we got traffic here in town. We better move out of the road, Cameron. Howdy, how you doing? I'm Huell Hauser.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
It's good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Nice
Huell.
to meet you, sir. You told us to meet you in front of the Hotel Jeffrey, and this is an absolutely beautiful little town you've got here.
It is. It's wonderful.
Tell us a little bit about the history of this place.
Well, Coulterville was originally started about 1849, 1850. It was started because of the gold. People came here to mine for gold. They also came here to start businesses, and that's how Coulterville started. Was Mr. Coulter came here and set up his general store in a big tent with a little blue flag on top.
In what year?
It was 1849.
Because this hotel was built in
1851.
But it says on the plaque on the side that it was first built as a Mexican dance hall and cantina.
Right. There were still a lot of Mexicans here, a lot of Indians. Later on, the Chinese came.
So there've been a lot of layers of history here.
Yes, a lot.
Now, was this the center of town? Obviously, it must have been. This was the big hotel.
No, because there were over 15 hotels at one time, 25 saloons.
In this town?
In this town.
25 saloons.
Kept them busy.
Now, you're on the Board of Supervisors. That sounds like trouble to me, a town that's got 25 saloons in it.
I'm sure there was a lot of trouble in those days, and I've heard and read the history of it. Yes, there was.
Well, tell us a little bit about that history when you say you've read the history. Was this a thriving, busy, bustling place full of excitement because people were coming here in search of their fortune?
Absolutely, yeah, and it was the typical gold rush town with lots of hard work from the mines, and then when they came to town to celebrate, they really celebrated.
Lots of play. Now, you're president of the Historical Society.
That's right.
You've got a nice museum here. You've got a lot of, but you've also got a lot of the old buildings left, even though the place has burned down a couple of times.
That's right. Actually, the History Center is housed in what was the Coulter Hotel, which burned in 1899 and was never rebuilt after that time. It had been someone's home before.
And how has this place managed? Can we walk downtown?
Yeah.
Is this downtown Coulterville?
This is downtown.
How has, well, and I don't even think we have to walk on the sidewalk.
No.
Let's just walk right out in the street here. How has the town managed to keep its charm, to be frozen in time like this?
Well, I think that you can attribute that to the community. They want to keep it this way. And they've done that over the years.
Wow. Yeah. Is this a tourist town? Or, I mean, obviously real people live here. This is a real town. Is your economy these days built a lot on tourists who somehow or another find out about it and come here to kind of pick up the flavor of the place?
No, I think it's kind of a community that's bypassed by other routes into Yosemite being the main tourist attraction, and so a lot of the business is local business. We certainly appreciate the tourist traffic, but we don't get an awful lot of that.
Well, that's because it's a little off the beaten track, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's part of its charm. I think that's the one thing I like about it. It's off the beaten track, and when you come here, you're seeing a rural lifestyle that's been preserved.
Now, this is part of an old stamp mill over here.
Absolutely, yeah, it is.
Would this have been something like this, been here and been operating?
Oh, yes, numerous stamp mills are here, all out through the community and different places where they're processing ore.
Okay, here comes a truck from the Forest Service, from the park. So a lot of people who live here and visit here, shop here, are connected with Yosemite or with the National Forest or something going on around here.
That's right. CDF and the National Forest and the county government, and tourists, and a lot of retired folks, and the local business people.
Now, is this, ladies, tell me the history of this. I know you know every building in town.
Well, the Brishy building is one of the original buildings, as is the Gozola.
So this is original. The building right next to it down here with the VFW sign on the front, that's original.
Right, and as is the Gozola Station.
Gozola Station. And what about on this side of the street? Any of these old buildings with the tin roofs?
Well, no, this building here is probably from the late 1920s, as is the tin building up from it.
The Coulterville General Store, which looks to me like it's been there for a while.
It's been here probably about 1860. It's always been in use either as a general store or a library, or it was even a garage at one time.
So that was a hot place in town.
Sure, it was actually the only place you could go to buy groceries.
Now look in here, this is very interesting. We're right on the side of historic highway number 49. Sonora is 31 miles this way, Mariposa is 28 miles that way. So this is really on the gold route of California.
It is. It's about the center of the gold route. Of course, 49 is the historical gold route that everybody knows about, and Coulterville is just about right in smack in the middle.
Well, you got a lot of motorcyclists coming through town.
Yes, we have a lot.
They like to go out on these weekend excursions through the gold country.
Yes, they do.
Good afternoon. Where are you from? Where are you from?
We're from Canada.
From Canada? How did you find your way to Coulterville, California?
Well, we stopped at my aunt's in Rohnert Park, and we just came down this way to go to Yosemite.
Well, what do you think about this little town?
I think this is a terrific town. I really do.
Yeah.
The people are friendly. I haven't met all 115 of them, but I'm sure, judging from what I've met, they're very nice people.
And it looks like a gold country town, doesn't it?
It certainly does. No, whoever designed this part did a very good job on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're on your way to Yosemite?
That's right. Right after we go into the general store. We have to get some pop, I think, to cool us down. You get pretty hot weather down here.
Boy, this is nice underneath this street awning right here, going down the sidewalk.
And if you'll notice along here, you can see the plants growing up. These are wisteria that were planted around 1940. They're quite large. In the spring, this is absolutely gorgeous. It's all covered with the blossoms hanging down. And it keeps growing, which is wonderful.
I have a feeling everything is just kind of left to its own devices here.
Well, we trim it up occasionally, try to keep it in check to some extent.
And you're looking great today. Now, did you dress like this for our arrival today, or is this your usual...
No, I do not dress like this all the time. We try to encourage the people who are docents at the museum to dress in period clothing, and also a number of the women who have businesses here in town do the same thing. So it's a way of trying to provide a little color in our community and to get people to come back.
Wow, this is great. It's so nice just walking up and down here.
It's cool under here right now, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so, well, I know you don't want to hear somebody say it's so quiet, because you want people here, you want businesses to flourish, but you know, there's just such a nice feel to everything here.
Well, on a summer afternoon, you're not going to see much activity out here at this time of day. It's a little on the warm side. People are looking for the shade.
Wow, another beautiful store established in 1860.
That's right.
And this is a wooden...
It's a wooden structure.
So thank goodness it survived.
It didn't burn down, and they do have tin roofs. All of the buildings have tin roofs. Those were what they put on then, and they're really wonderful in the winter when it rains, because you get quite a symphony.
Sounds great.
Right, it really does. It really does.
And look down here, just looking down the... It's really nice just looking down the way here.
It is. Yeah, this is God's country, and we really enjoy living here.
Okay, now we've come about a quarter of a mile from downtown Coulterville. We're on the corner of Cow Street and Chinatown Main Street, and this is an amazing looking structure, which is all that is left of Coulterville's Chinatown.
That's correct. It was built about 1850 by the Sun family, and it was in the Sun family all the way up to about 1914 when it was finally sold.
A big Chinese population, as most of these gold country towns had.
That's right. Anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000. It kind of varied during the years.
Wait a minute. 2,000 and 5,000 Chinese?
Yes, yes.
What did they do?
Because this was such a large area, there were a lot of businesses that they ran. They also worked in the mines, they did logging, they worked in laundries, all different things.
This is amazing. I love the old Chinese sign. I also like the old Coca-Cola sign over here.
Right.
And this is this adobe? What is this?
That's right, it is adobe. It's adobe.
My God.
And it is original.
The color with the sun shining on it.
We can see the bits of straw. This is what they used in the wood to bind it together. Yeah, that's the way they made the adobe. And this dark red clay is found all over up here. You just look up the hillside and you see the red from it.
Well, it's a shame that the Chinese community is no longer here and that Chinatown is no longer here in Coulterville, but what a wonderful, if you had to have something left, let's just get out of the way here and get another beautiful shot of it. This is about as pretty a little store.
One little thing I'd like to add, you said that we're at the corner of Cow and China Main. Cow is not C-O-W. It's K-O-W, and that was Mr. Sun's son. That was his name.
Cow, K-O-W.
K-O-W.
Well, that's been our road trip to Mariposa County. We've been to the town of Mariposa and now to Coulterville. Are those the two big towns in Mariposa County?
Yeah, they certainly are. Hornitos, Fish Camp, those little communities aren't as big as this, believe it or not.
Wow. Well, this is a very historic place, and this is also, now I want to find out if this rumor is true, because I have heard from many reliable sources, and I know you'd know the answer as a supervisor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That Mariposa County does not have a single stoplight in the entire county.
Yeah, that is true, and it's remarkable because we're very close to metropolitan areas that have numerous stoplights, but I want to tell you what, Caltrans has been before the board numerous times insisting that we get a stoplight.
Now, so is this going to happen? Is this the big political issue in Mariposa County?
Not if we can help it.
You don't want one?
No way, no way.
Nobody, because someday you're going to have to give in, aren't you?
Well, we might do a turnabout or circle or something besides doing this. We want to keep that. That's quite a distinguished accomplishment.
That is an amazing accomplishment, and people in this county are proud of that, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Very much so.
And proud of their history as well.
They are. They're very proud of their history. They've worked very hard to maintain their history and to make it available for people to learn about it.
Well, you've certainly done a good job of it here in Coulterville. We've spent a couple of days here in the county in both Mariposa and now in Coulterville. We've met so many nice people and seen so many interesting historic places. This has been one of the best road trips we have ever been on. Thank you very much for your hospitality. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We've had a great time up here in Mariposa County. Goodbye, everybody.
Road Trip with Hugh Hauser is made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Next time you're ready to travel around California or anywhere in the world, remember, the Auto Club can help you save time and plan everything. And that can make any trip a lot more enjoyable. See you out there.
Serving your travel needs for over 100 years, the Auto Club of Southern California. We're always with you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hugh Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed our road trip to Mariposa. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family and friends, it's available on video cassette. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.